Thank you so much, Advocate, for seeing us today. First, we want to know, who is Mary Bosiu?
Well, Mary Bosiu, I'm a simple woman on a mission. And what is my mission, you might ask? It is to help people to be the best that they were created to be. And I totally love doing that, because you can't help fellow human beings to be the best that they are meant to be, and end up not going somewhere yourself. You know, it's like lighting a torch for somebody. If it's dark and you go out of your way, you light a torch, you will not walk in darkness. I'm that kind of a woman.
Okay. It's Advocate, Mary Bosiu, and also people know Mary Bosiu. Then people know Mary Bosiu, the author. Tell us first, like, how did it start? Did it start with your childhood? Is this a dream that you had as a child, to say, I want to light the path for others? How did it start?
You know, I grew up as a very shy girl. Shy, nervous, a little bit confused. And that was painful, because, you know, when you are shy, when you have an inferiority complex, most people don't think you are shy. They think that you are too full of yourself. So that was painful for me. And that's how I grew up. But there's something that was a lifesaver for me. I always loved to excel in whatever I do. In fact, I either do something and do it well, or I simply don't. So the fact that I love to excel helped me to do well in school. And my primary years, I was doing school in a very, very disadvantaged environment. At one stage, I used to be, in fact, for 4 years, I would be in a class where 4 classes are crammed in a room. And now that when I look back, I consider myself strong for the fact that I managed to go to high school. I didn't end there. I managed to go to the university despite everything that happened in my life. You know, one of the stories that I love to tell people to show where I come from, because there are many people out there who are struggling just like us, like I was struggling. And I just want to send hope to them. I just want to send a message that you too can do it. I remember when I went to the high school, I actually slept at a cattle post, because the rivers were so full. We had to take a longest route that entailed getting to a footbridge. So I went to the high school, and everybody there was so current. It was in the lowlands, and then I was coming from the mountains. That actually intensified my inferiority complex. But my excellence, my desire to excel in whatever I do, enabled me to pass my high school well without even to supplement anything. And then I went to the university. I didn't even know what to do at the university. There were no career guidance, nothing. So I had to go to somebody to advise me what I should do. And this is somebody that was a lawyer who came from the same disadvantaged background that I came from. And I went to him and said, you know what, I think I should do law, but I'm shy. Do you think that's the right thing to do? If it is not the right thing to do, what can I do? And he said, you know what, I know a lady that is so shy. She's done law and she's the magistrate. If she can do it, you can do it. That's how I landed in a legal profession. I forgot to tell you that I'm so fortunate in the sense that I have a profession. I'm a lawyer by profession, but I also have my calling, and I've just told you my calling. Most people only have professions, and sometimes most of us land in the kind of professions that don't fire us up.
Okay. And you speak of career guidance. You ended up just getting a bit of it, but initially you never had it.
I never had career guidance of any sort, nothing.
Yeah, so my question is, how important is career guidance in this modern day? We have thousands of graduates coming from our institutions of higher learning annually with no jobs, because the skills that they are getting there are not important, are not really marketable in our jurisdiction. How important and what can be done to sort of step up or improve the way we provide career guidance for our youths?
I would say, you know, whenever people go to high schools to do career guidance, maybe they should emulate what I did last month. Or I was part of that. I was not organizing that. We had this career guidance at one of the schools in Marcelo, and the ex-students who had done well in life were there to guide the final year students what opportunities were there, the necessary degrees or diplomas that they could go for. But they invited me as well, because they were talking about the academic environment. And once we are done with the academic environment, now you get into what I normally call the University of Life. And the University of Life has its own thing. There are certain skills that you need, skills that were never taught in school, in the academic environment. And in fact, what I found interesting, the organizers had excelled because of things that they were passionate about, not necessarily what they learned in that school. So I would say, fine, let's guide our students as to what the degrees that they can follow, the diplomas that they could go for, the certificates, but also match it with the personal development aspect. And the essence of the personal development aspect says, do that which resonates with your heart, what you like. Because you can easily do well with something that fires you up, as opposed to something that you do out of duty.
Okay. So, tell us a bit more about your career as a lawyer. When did you go to university? When did you graduate? And where have you practiced? Which areas have you practiced?
Okay, I went to university in 1977, which is a long time ago. And I started off prosecuting criminal cases, and that was in 1982. I did that for 4 or 5 years. And my heart was not even in that. But I applied for a post at the Lesotho National Development Corporation. And to my surprise, I got the job. I worked there as, or let me just put it simply and said, I ended up now being a commercial lawyer. I was doing criminal cases, and now I ended up in the commercial space. And this is where I am now. I'm specialized in commercial transactions. I have a consultancy, Bosiu Consult, and we are we're not doing litigation, we're not doing any criminal work, we're just focusing on commercial aspects. That's where I am. But as I was working for Lesotho National Development Corporation, which actually converted me into a commercial lawyer, I assume I did well because I was promoted and re-promoted, and I ended up being part of the executive team, the ESCO, and my handicap, the inferiority complex, remember, the shyness, I clearly couldn't do well. You can't be a good leader if you're not confident. So I thought maybe the best thing to do is to read some more about leadership. I could see that sometimes as leaders we're doing things that didn't feel right. And I decided to learn more about leadership. And the more I learned about leadership skills, the more I got myself into the personal development arena, and that fascinated me. I never stopped learning. And I'm the kind of person, I'm not an information junkie, I'm a revelation junkie. When I read something, it's for a revelation. What does this revelation says, what does this say to me? What does it say to me? And I'm that kind of person. When I read, I highlight, I write, and after I'm done with a book, I summarize what I've learned. Just like I'm doing a thesis or whatever, I summarize what I've learned. And this continued for a couple of years until I realized that, whoa, I have so much. And there was this hunger for me to share what I've learned. And I remember one day, I was preparing, I planned to share. At that time, I was clear that I'm going to resign from NNDC. I'm going to continue to be a commercial lawyer, but also do personal development workshops as well. And as I was preparing the material for the module that I was going to start with, a thought said to me, if I have this much, why don't I write my own book? That's how I wrote. I ended up being an author now. Just sharing. Excuse me.
Speaking of books, now you have an interesting story to tell. Mm-hmm. You have your fourth book now.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Should I pick it?
Yeah, you have your fourth book.
This is the fourth one.
Yes.
Technically, it is the fourth book, but actually it is the third book.
Because the other one is a translation.
Exactly.
All right. Tell us a bit, maybe from the beginning. Mm-hmm. You were reading to learn about leadership, mm-hmm. and also mm-hmm. get rid of your fears, right?
That was not the intention.
Yes.
Getting rid of my fears was not the plan. Mm. But you can't afford to learn things that are focused on personal development and end up being as shy as I was.
Okay.
No. Somehow my shyness, my inferiority complex just vanished. How? I don't know.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about now the writing experience. Mm-hmm. We know where it started, mm-hmm. but what has it done to you? What doors is it opened for you?
Sure. Amazing. I'll talk about this one. This is the very first book that I wrote. I published it in November 2009. And in September 2010, less than a year after its publication, I was given an award by Vodacom. They had a project, they called it a Vodacom Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And they were honoring a lot of people, authors. Some of them had even late. They were late when they were awarded they given their awards. And I was a new kid on the block. I couldn't believe that I was being honored for this. And in fact, starting from that year, 2010, I got several awards after that. I got one in 2011, 2012, 2013, and I ended up with yet another one in 2017.
Wow.
And mark my word, all these awards, they had absolutely nothing with what I've done for 5 years at the National University of Lesotho. I didn't know for 5 years. Nobody has honored me for being a lawyer. Nobody.
You're being honored for your passion.
I've been honored for my passion. I've spoken in other countries, in Lesotho, in South Africa, in Swaziland, Zambia, you name it. And I was not talking law. So just what makes you tick? That's my advice. What makes you tick? And whatever it is that makes you tick, go for it.
Yeah. And you have a new book that has just been released. Tell us a bit about it.
Ignite the Power in You. This is I love these books, all of them. But this one, in retrospect, I'm saying I wish it could have been number one. Because the main focus of this book is exactly what I've just said, that you have to do what makes you tick. You have to identify your purpose. And that purpose will ignite the power in you. Identify your purpose. Much as I've said that what makes you tick is what can birth your purpose. What aches you could also birth your purpose. I mean, we have stories of people that landed in messes. Some of the messes, self-made messes. I'm having in mind people that have been convicted for criminal or offenses. There's one in particular who was a hardcore criminal. He served a 10-year life sentence, not life sentence, prison sentence, and he managed to take himself out of that mud. And now the world knows him. I don't want to mention his name, but he's an author like me. All the books that he has written, whenever I see his book, I pick it up because I know that I'm going to learn something. So sometimes, and he's saying, I'll never do crime. And you know what he did whilst in prison? He says, whilst other, fellow prisoners would be talking about what they were planning to do when they are released, and some of the things that were planning were crimes, more crimes. He would be in the library, reading, and reading. And as I speak, he even has a publishing house. He publishes his own books. I remember there's one book that I read. I went out of my way to find his cell number. And I called him. I wanted to congratulate him for that book. But he thought I was the fact that I mentioned that I'm an author, he assumed that I have a manuscript and I want to give him my manuscript. But I just wanted to say, well done, my brother, well done. His books are just awesome. So sometimes a misfortune can actually birth your purpose.
Okay. You are obviously a torchbearer for many Basotho and many young people.
Okay. I'm humbled to see that.
Tell us a bit about what principles do you subscribe to in life?
Sure. My number one, integrity. Integrity. I was saying just before we started the interview, I was saying, don't give up easily on your dreams, but don't sell your soul. Selling your soul entails doing something that you wouldn't disclose to somebody that you respect. Never do anything that you can never disclose to somebody that you respect. I always tell people that whatever you do today, it will end up as your past. But your past will one day land in your future. And if something that is messy, it will mess you up. So be in the habit of doing things that you are proud of. Somebody once said, and I love this, somebody once said, fame without character will end up being a flame and it will burn you. That's my number one, integrity. Serve with integrity.
And we are in a space where integrity is a rare commodity. Look at our politics. Look at every facet of our lives. Our
So
leaders have done so well in destroying integrity.
So unfortunate.
What can a young Mosotho do?
I really have no answer for that. What I can say is that's why I'm having the kind of mission that I'm having, to be the light. And one of the things that, even my motto at my office, it's service blended with integrity. In fact, excellence blended with integrity, excellence blended with integrity. So I want to create as many opportunities as possible to talk life skills, and integrity is one of the critical principles of success. Because what's the point of being successful? Having cheated somebody, you can never have peace with that. You can never. And then integrity, you have asked me about the principles. That integrity is number one, humility. Number two, it doesn't matter how bright you are, if you are arrogant, who cares? You will repel people, and you need people. You can't succeed by yourself. Never. You can't succeed by yourself. And of course, hard work. The last time I checked, hard work still worked.
Still worked. That's awesome. You just said something that is striking for me. You need people.
You need people.
Right? You are not an island. I assume even yourself, you're not an island. No. Tell us a bit about your family, your background family, or where you were born, siblings and stuff like that, and also your own children.
Okay, born and bred in the Thabazega district, in a place called Lesobeng. We are a big family. We are 9. My father, may his soul rest in peace. Whenever I talk about him, I get emotional because he was a dad, he was a father, he was a business, a partner, and a friend. He was a prominent person. Prominent because of the service to his community. He was so dedicated to making other people feel good. He had a sense of humor. Just being around him was something. My mother, a little bit shy, but What I've learned a lot from him is generosity. She is such a giver. What I've also learned a lot from him, she is such a forgiving person. So forgiving. And those two values I've learned from him. We are many in my family. We struggled a lot for my father to... My mother was not working. My father was a school teacher, primary school teacher, which means we didn't get much.
Yeah, your family.
Yes, we 6 girls, 3 boys, and I have my own 2 boys.
Okay.
They didn't follow after the mother. Both of them have done accounting. And I have grandchildren, 4.
Wow.
And I adore them.
Wow. That's brilliant. So your 4th book is out. Where does one get it?
I do have outlets in Maseru, 2 outlets. One at Pioneer Mall and another one at NRH Complex. But I sweat to sell them. I prefer to bulk sell. So I do go to corporates, I do go to schools and offer them. Okay, the offer is normally like, if you buy a couple of these books, let's say 10, we'll come and do a free motivational talk, which is a good deal, because to do 1 hour, it's not a small amount.
It's not a small amount.
It's not a small amount, so it's a big deal.
The culture of reading is dying. I'm sure it's something that you think of as a writer. Myself as a journalist, I worry about it a lot because people are not reading anymore.
It is well.
What do you think we need to do? Because I don't see a substitute for reading. What do we need to do, like, to get young people to continue reading?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. The little that I can do is to do what I'm doing. To go and tell them, okay, to schools, to corporates, if you buy a couple of these books, I'll do a free motivational talk. And the way I've structured that talk, I end up with, in fact, I call it feeding the mind. I tell people that, you know what, every day, without fail, you have a feeding program that feeds your body, your physical well-being. Every Sunday, you go to church, you feed your spiritual well-being. But you need to feed your mental well-being. You need to feed your mental well-being because a mind appreciates or depreciates, depending on what you are feeding it. If you are feeding it with daily gossip, you really, it will not help you that much. Your mind generates ideas. And whenever I go to schools, I always find something, say, not in every school, but in a couple of books, a couple of schools, there will be this poster that says, small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, great minds discuss ideas.
Wow.
And if you're not feeding your mind with quality information that gives you the skills of life, how on earth will you progress in life? You will end up with a mental kwashuka.
That's a good one. But surely, just like you are saying, we have a lot of people who do not have a balanced diet, a mental balanced diet, as you are saying. But what must be done? Do you think even Basotho Africans, we are writing enough?
We are not. I've realized that, and they will excuse me if I'm missing something. Most learned people, like people that hold PhDs, professors, those that have come into contact with, they will say something like, I co-authored such and such a book. I wrote a chapter in such and such a book. You don't find them saying, I have written a book. In fact, one friend of mine that I actually mentioned before we started this interview, he's very learned. He's a PhD holder, very, very learned, from your country. And I was listening to, in fact, we are co-presenting in one seminar with him. And when his profile was being read, we were told that he has co-authored the book. And then when I published this book, he was saying, like, advocate, so you mean I can also write a book? I said, since you have already co-authored, you can write your own book. In fact, we have a deal, me and him. We have a deal. I said, give me the outline of your book. Give me the outline, and then I'll push you to feed in the relevant info. Because he's very, very brilliant and wise. He can write his own book, not co-author a chapter there, another chapter there. We don't have enough writers, you are right. And there's this saying which I don't like. A saying that if you want to hide something from an African, write it.
Put it in a book.
Put it in a book. Put it in a book. So for how long will we be in this situation that we are in? That has to change.
Anything special, anything striking on your mind that you possibly want to share with your followers and your readers?
You know, maybe it's a repetition of what I've said, because I feel so strong about it. You have to feed your mind. You have to feed your mind, because God has given us a tool, the mind. And this tool, we didn't pay a price to it. And where you are now, your station in life, depends on what you have been thinking all along. And what you regularly think will determine your attitude, it will determine your perspective. So just as you service your car, service your mind. That's what I can say.
One last question. You fall into in the category of motivational speakers, and it has been widely said motivational speakers are. I'm just giving you I'm just paraphrasing it.
Okay, that's fine.
What it means is motivational speakers are cons in a way. They can sell you a dream that they can tell you all kinds of things. You will feel you are the new Prime Minister of Lesotho after speaking to a motivational speaker or listening to a motivational speaker. What do you have to say really about the value or the essence of motivation? What can motivation do to a person?
I think that issue of motivational speakers being con artists, unfortunately, I'm a product of motivational speakers. I'm a product of that. I have learned from them. I have applied some of the things that I've learned, and my life has been transformed. So it's like, you know, when you go to a supermarket to buy, let's say you go there, you buy rice, you buy meat, you buy vegetables, the owner of that supermarket will not cook that rice, those vegetables for you. You have to do the work when you get home. So if a motivational speaker says something and it makes sense, go and practice what resonates with you. And speaking for myself, I can tell you stories and stories of people that have learned from my... Sometimes the stories just shock me. People that one day you said this, and this is what I did because of what you said. So it depends. Sometimes people don't apply what they've learned, and then they blame the messenger.
Advocate, thank you so much for sitting down with us today. It's been a very interesting conversation.
No, it was my pleasure and honor. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.